Hello students, I am your master, Mr.Shaikh.Mohammed.Zubair. Today we are going to study the third chapter in geography, physiography and drainage. Introduction. India. The country is divided into 5 major physiographic divisions, namely the Himalayas, the North Indian Plains, the Peninsula, coastal plains, and island groups. We will now study each division in great detail. First, we start with Himalayas. The Himalayas is one of the young-fold mountains in the world. The Himalayas extend from Pamir Knot in Tajikistan to the east. It is a major mountain system of the Asian continent. In India, it extends from Jammu and Kashmir to Arunachal Pradesh. The Himalayas is not a single mountain range. There are many parallel ranges in the system. The southernmost is known as Sivalix. It is also the youngest range. Next to Sivalix are lesser Himalayas, greater Himalayas, that is Himadri, and trans-Himalayan ranges from south to north. These ranges are young to old respectively. These mountain ranges are also divided into Western Himalayas or Kashmir Himalayas, Central Himalayas or Kumaon Himalayas, and Eastern Himalayas or Assam Himalayas. Next, we study about the North Indian Plain. This division lies between Himalaya mountains in the north and the Peninsular in the south. Similarly, it extends from Rajasthan and Punjab in the west to Assam in the east. It is mostly a flat, low-lying area. The North Indian plains are divided into 2 parts. The part lying to the east of Aravallis is the basin of river Ganga and is therefore known as the Ganga Plains. It slopes eastward. Most of the West Bengal state of India and Bangladesh together constitute the delta of Ganga-Brahmaputra system. It is known as Sundarbans. It is considered to be the world's largest delta. The western part of North Indian plains is occupied by desert. It is also known as Thar Desert or Marusthali. Most of the Rajasthan is occupied by this desert. To the north of the desert lie the plains of Punjab. This region is spread to the west of Aravallis and Delhi ranges. These plains have formed as a result of the depositional work by the river Satluj and its tributaries. The slope of the plains is towards the west because the soil here is very fertile. Agriculture is largely practiced in this region. Next, we study about the Peninsula. The area lying to the south of North Indian Plains and tapering towards the Indian Ocean is called Indian Peninsula. It consists of many plateaus and hill ranges. The Aravallis in the north are the old fold mountains here. It includes a series of plateaus bordering the plains. Vindhyas and Satpura ranges in the central part of the hilly regions of Western and Eastern Ghats. Next we study about the coastal plains. India is blessed with a long coastline extending for approximately 7,500 kilometers. It lies to the western and eastern part of the peninsula. Its western and eastern coastlines show remarkable dissimilarities. The western coast borders the Arabian Sea. It is by and large a rocky coast. At places, spurs taking off from the Western Ghats have extended right up to the coast. Its width is also less. Rivers originating from Western Ghats are short and swift, and hence they form estuaries and not deltas. The eastern coast borders the Bay of Bengal. It has formed as a result of depositional work of rivers. Many east-flowing rivers using from the western and eastern Ghats meet this coast because of the gentle slope of the land. Rivers flow at lower velocities and deposit the sediments brought with them at the coast. As a result, deltas are found along this coast. Now we study about the island groups. India has many small and large islands along the coast of the mainland. These are included in the coastal island group. Besides, India has two large groups of islands, one each in the Arabian Sea and in Bay of Bengal. The islands in the Arabian Sea are known as Lakshadweep, whereas this is a picture of Lakshadweep, whereas the island in the Bay of Bengal are called the Andaman and Nicobar Islands. Picture of Andaman and Nicobar Island. Most of the Indian islands in Lakshadweep are atoll islands. They are small in extent and not very high. Islands in the Andaman group are mainly volcanic islands. They are large with hills in their interior parts of includes an island called Barren Island, which has the only active volcano in India. Let's study about Brazil. Large part of Brazil is occupied by highlands, plateaus, and small mountains. There are no very high and long extending mountains in the country, except for the northern Amazon basin, and in southwest along the upper parts of Paraguay basin. There are no wide plains in the country. Even the coastal plains are restricted in their expanse. The physiographic divisions of Brazil are as follows. It has 5 physiographic divisions, namely the highlands, the Great Escarpment, the coastal regions, the plains, and the island groups. We shall now study each in great detail. First on the list is the highlands. The southern Brazil is occupied by an extensive plateau. It is differently described as Brazilian highlands or Brazilian shield or Brazilian plateau. Brazilian and Guiana highlands together form the core of South American continent. The main part of Guiana Highlands is in Venezuela and it extends up to French Guiana. In Brazil, it covers the states of Roraima, Para, and Amapá in the north. The lower part of these highlands is found in Brazil, but the highest peak of Brazil, that is Pico de Neblina, is 3014 meter high and lies on the border between Brazil and Venezuela. The regions to the east and south of the Brazilian highlands have an altitude of more than 1000 meters, but in other parts of the altitude is between 500 to 1000 meters. The highlands gradually slope towards north and slopes are not very steep. The tributaries of Amazon flowing through this region make rapids and waterfalls. Towards the north, the slopes are steep but not abrupt. Abrupt means sudden. A number of rivers take off from the terminal portion of the highlands and flow northwards to meet Atlantic Ocean. The major rivers like Uruguay, Paraguay, and Paraná are from the southern slopes, and it also enters Argentina. Its slopes in the east is steep and it appears very much in an escarpment. Now we study about the Great Escarpment. Escarpment means steep slope. Though it occupies a very small area, the nature of its slope and the effect it has on the climate makes it a separate physiographic region. The eastern side of the highland is demarcated because of the escarpment. In this region, the altitude of the escarpment is 790 meters. In some regions, the height decreases gradually. The escarpment is very steep, particularly from Sao Paulo to Porto Alegre. The escarpment acts as a barrier to the southeast trade winds, giving rise to the rain shadow area in the northeastern part of the highlands. The region to the north of this area is called drought quadrilateral. Let's see the picture of drought quadrilateral. Now we study about the coasts. Brazil has a coastline of about 7,400 kilometers. One may divide that into two parts, namely northern and eastern coast. The north coast extends from Amapá province in the north to Rio de Grande do Norte in the east. This can be called as a North Atlantic coast. From there, the eastern coast extends towards the south. The northern coast is characterized by mouths of many rivers, including the Amazon. Therefore, this region is a low-lying region. On this coast lie the Marajó Island, Marajó and São Marcos Bays. Marajó is a large coastal island located between mouths of River Amazon and River Tocantins. The eastern coast receives large number of smaller rivers. The only major river which meets the Atlantic Ocean here, is São Francisco. The Brazilian coast is characterized by a large number of beaches and sand dunes complexes. The Brazilian coast is protected in some areas by coral reefs and atoll islands. Let's study about the plains. The plains in Brazil are confined to two areas, namely the Amazon basin in the north and Paraguay-Parana source region in the southwest. Amazon plains lying between the two highlands form the largest plainland of Brazil. Amazon plains lying in the north of parts generally slope eastward. The Amazon basin is quite wide in the west, about 1300 kilometers, and it narrows eastward. Its width is minimum where the Guiana Highlands and Brazilian Highland come closer, that is 240 kilometers. As the river approaches the Atlantic Ocean, the width of the plain increases. There are mostly forested areas and largely inaccessible due to frequent flooding and dense undergrowth. Most of the Amazon plains are covered by tropical rainforest. The other plains in Brazil are located to the southwestern part of the highland. They form the source region of Paraguay and Parana rivers. The source region of Paraguay slopes towards the south, while the source region of Parana slopes towards the southwest. Picture of Pantanal. Pantanal is one of the largest wetlands in the world. It lies towards the southwest part of the highland areas. It is a region of swamps and marshes in northwestern Mato Grosso do Sul in Brazil, and it extends to Argentina too. Next we study about the islands. Besides the mainland, some islands are also included in Brazil. They can be classified into coastal islands and marine islands. Most of the coastal islands have formed due to deposition. Marine islands were a part of the mainland. They are more than 300 kilometers away from the mainland in the Atlantic Ocean. These islands are mostly rocky and they are the top of the submerged mountains. The islands near the coast of the South Atlantic Ocean are coral islands and they are called atolls. Now we study the drainage of Brazil. As far as the drainage in Brazil is concerned, there are three major river basins. First, the Amazon basin. Second, Paraguay-Parana system in the southwest. And last, São Francisco in the eastern part of highland and other rivers at the coast. Let's study about the Amazon basin. Amazon collects its headwaters. Headwaters is a place where a river begins is called headwaters from the eastern slopes of Andes mountain in Peru. Amazon River receives huge discharge. This is about 2 lakhs meter cube per second. As a result, Amazon washes off the load supplied to it from the catchment. Sediments are not deposited at the mouth. A dense network of distributaries, which is a characteristic feature of river mouth areas, is by and large absent in the mouth region of Amazon. Instead, we find series of islands developed along the mouth of Amazon beyond the coastline into the Atlantic Ocean. It will be interesting to note that at the mouth, the width of Amazon Channel is 150 kilometers away from your home. You will get an idea of the width. Most of the course of the Amazon River is suitable for navigation. Now we study about Paraguay-Parana system. These two rivers are located in the southwestern part of Brazil. Both the rivers form the catchment of River Plata in Argentina. These two rivers and River Uruguay in extreme south of the highlands collect their headwaters from the southern portion of the highlands. Now we study about São Francisco. It is the third important river of Brazil. The entire basin of this river is within Brazil. It occupies the eastern portion of the highlands. The river flows towards the north for a distance of about 1,000 kilometers over the plateau and then takes a sharp eastward turn to enter the coastal strip along the Atlantic Ocean. The river is navigable for a distance of about 250 kilometers in its downstream reaches. Coastal rivers. Brazil has a number of short coastal rivers. The coastal area being densely populated, these rivers attain significance or importance. River Paranaíba and River Itapecuru, flowing northwards, meet the North Atlantic Ocean. The rivers that enter South Atlantic Ocean collect their headwaters along the escarpment. River Puraguaco enters the Atlantic Ocean near Salvador town. Let's see the picture of River Puraguaco. Next, we study about the drainage of India. Sorry, there's a correction. Instead of Brazil, it's India we are going to study now. Rivers in India are largely classified according to their source region into Himalayan and Peninsular rivers. Himalayan drainage. Most of the major rivers in the Himalayan originate from various glaciers. In summers, when glaciers melt, the discharge of water increases in summer. They flood during monsoons. They are perennial rivers. The drainage covers two major rivers. Number 1, Sindhu river system, and 2, Ganga river system. Now let's study about the tributaries of Sindhu river system. Sindhu and its tributaries Jhelum, Chenab, Ravi and Satluj drain the western Himalayas, that is, they flow through the state of Jammu and Kashmir. They flow almost parallel to each other. Next we study about Ganga river system. The river Ganga originates from Gangotri glacier and crosses the Himalayas to become an east-flowing river. Many tributaries of the Ganga also flow in a similar manner. Yamuna, originating at Yamunotri, is a major tributary of Ganga. Let's study the comparative study of river Sindhu and its tributaries. A major tributary of river Sindhu, the Satluj, originates near Mansarovar and flows westward. Punjab plains have formed from the depositional work of this river and its tributaries. Sindhu flows from Pakistan and then meets the Arabian Sea. The river Ganga. Now we study about river Ganga and its tributaries. Another major tributary of the Ganga flows through the northern part of the Greater Himalayas. It crosses the Himalayas to enter India. When it flows through the Himalayas, it is called Sangpo. When it crosses the Himalayas, it is called Dihang. Its eastward flow thereafter is called as Brahmaputra. From time to time, Ganga meets its tributaries, hence its discharge increases. Ganga receives Brahmaputra as its tributary in its lower reaches in Bangladesh. The huge volume of water and huge deposition has led to the formation of a large delta. Besides these Himalayan rivers, Ganga receives a number of tributaries from Peninsula like Chambal, Ken, Betwa, Shon, Damodar, etc. Now we study about peninsular rivers. Peninsular river systems can be further divided into east flowing, meeting the Bay of Bengal, and west flowing, meeting the Arabian Sea. The Western Ghats form a major water divide in the peninsula. The peninsular rivers, being rain-fed rivers, seldom face the problem of floods. They are seasonal in nature. The west-flowing rivers occupying the area between Western Ghats and the Arabian coastline are short in length but swift. This condition of short and swift rivers systems exist in the states of Kerala, Karnataka, Maharashtra, and southern Gujarat. Further, the northwards one comes across the river system flowing into the Gulf of Khambat. The river systems are Tapi, Narmada, Mahi, and Sabarmati. Tapi and Narmada flows slowly through rift valleys. Mahi river flows from northeast to southwest direction, whereas river Sabarmati, collecting its headwaters from the southern slopes of Aravalli ranges, flows in somewhat north-south direction. Another noteworthy river forming the catchment of Arabian Sea is river Luni. It originates along the western slopes of Aravalli range, and it flows in somewhat northwest to southeast direction and flows into Gulf of Kutch. Now we study about the rivers meeting the Bay of Bengal. Most of the area of the peninsula is drained by the rivers flowing towards Bay of Bengal. The important river systems of this group are Mahanadi, Godavari, Krishna, and Kaveri. Mahanadi basin occupies the northeastern part of the peninsula. Godavari, Krishna, and Kaveri originate in the eastern slopes of the Western Ghats. River Godavari is the second largest river system of India in terms of catchment area. To the south of Godavari is located the basin of river Krishna. Its major tributaries are Bhima and Tungabhadra. River Kaveri basin flows through the states of Karnataka, and Tamil Nadu. It is one of the major rivers of Peninsular. It is a river that has been harnessed or used for irrigation since a long time. Students, this is a short exercise which is given to you and you are supposed to answer it in your geography long books. Once the school reopens, the respective subject teachers will take your books for correction. Kindly write it in your own words. You can refer to any reference books, but you have to use the textual language. Please take care of this instruction. I hope you have understood the lesson easily by this presentation. Thank you, children, and God bless.